Chapter 293, Past Affection and Enmity. He then said something that shocked Kang Chon. The old man in front of him was a peak-yuanying stage powerhouse who came from the royal palace and was ordered by the state lord to probe the situation of Heavy Iron City. However, this person, relying on his strong cultivation, entered the back mountain of the royal palace, which was known as a forbidden land, and had not come out since then. Who cares who he is? Kill him. Xiaojin snorted coldly. Golden light flashed around him as he flashed his body and rushed forward, blasting his fist at this ghostly creature in front of him. GGG. This old man, who had already transformed into a ghostly creature, had a pair of hollow eyes that had an eerie black aura radiating out from within them. His mouth was tearing, and that sound of teeth rubbing together was ear-piercing and unpleasant. One fist battles the heavens. Xiaojin didn't dare to underestimate his opponent, and the moment he struck, it was the fighting fist, striking out a terrifying attack. Not far away, Kang Chon and Yong Zhenan stared in anticipation. Neither of them stopped. This old man in front of them had already been eroded by the yin qi and then dominated by the spirit of grievance. Although he wasn't a zombie, he wasn't that far from a zombie either. Definitely can't let him leave alive, otherwise the great Tang Kingdom will suffer, Yong Zhenan said in a deep voice. Kang Chon nodded. The blood knife in his hand was ready. He stared at the battle in front of him. This ghostly creature was very scary. Its moves were bizarre, and between every attack, it was shrouded in a black mist, isolating others from checking it out. Poof! When Xiaojin's fist light and the ghost creature's black chi collided, a snorting sound was emitted, like it seemed to have been corroded. Xiaojin's fighting fist was surprisingly ineffective against it. He immediately retreated at great speed, not daring to fight with this ghost creature. Extreme Yin Corpse Chi. Kid, make your move. The strength of this ghostly creature is comparable to an out-of-body stage powerhouse. The little monkey can't handle it. Dan Huang's voice came from his mind, causing Kang Chon's heart to flinch. Little Gold, you retreat. Taking advantage of Little Gold being knocked back, Kang Chon shouted. His body ***** came out, his right hand holding the blood knife splitting the void, erupting a dazzling light that enveloped down towards the ghostly creature. GG. The ghostly creature laughed grimly, transformed into a black gas, and was cut in half by Kang Chon. However, he immediately combined his body and counter-attacked towards Kang Chon, and his eerie yin qi shrouded him, and the entire space was filled with a gloomy and terrifying aura. Brother, Kang Tian. Xiaojin and Yong Zhenan were shocked when they saw this. They did not expect that the ghostly creature would be able to use such a move to avoid Kang Chon's attack. Sublime Slash. At the critical moment, Kang Chon executed the Sublime Slash, and his body disappeared as if it was instantaneous. When he reappeared, he had already appeared behind the ghostly creature, and the true essence in his body gushed out, all of it pouring into the bloody blade in his hand before slashing down with force. What a powerful divine ability! Yong Zhenan was shocked, but Xiaojin was relieved. He almost forgot about Kang Chon's Sublime Chop, which was comparable to instantaneous shift in general. Of course, compared to instantaneous transfer, the range of the Sublime Chop was somewhat limited, and currently Kang Chon could only use it within 100 feet of a square circle, and it wouldn't work beyond that distance. However, in the current battle, having this kind of divine ability could definitely give one an advantage, at least apart from Kang Chon. There was no one who could possess the divine ability of instantaneous transfer at the divine separation stage. Because of the instantaneous movement of the subdivision chop, the ghostly creature was too late to perform its secret technique. So Kang Chon slashed the entity this time. A vomit-inducing corpse stench came from it, followed by a stream of green corpse water left along the bloody blade. Roar! The heavily injured ghostly creature let out a piercing and unpleasant hiss. He glared at Kang Chon and fled into a black gas towards the back of the royal mansion. Kang Chon looked towards the back of the mountain with some trepidation, not daring to go after it. Unfortunately, let it escape. Yong Zhenan was a little worried. This ghostly creature was very terrifying. If it wreaked havoc in the Great Tang Kingdom, I'm afraid that very few people would be able to subdue him. Brother, what should we do? Xiaojin looked towards Kang Chon. At this moment, Kang Chon collected the blood sword. He glanced at the old Wangfa mansion. Then he said to Xiaojin and Yong Zhenan, "Let's leave. When we go back, I will report to the State Lord and ask him to send out bodied stage powerhouses to come over to guard the area." Yong Zhenan nodded gratefully. He was in charge of watching over this place, belonging to the most dangerous group of people. If there were experts sitting in the town, it couldn't be better for him. The three of them immediately flew away from Heavy Iron City. At the back of the royal mansion, in the endless darkness, a demonic shadow stood on top of a blood coffin, its blood-red eyes staring at the Kang Chon trio, who flew away from the sky. Above the Heavy Iron City, in the middle of the endless darkness, Kang Chon in the sky seemed to feel something. He frowned and looked back towards the back of the royal mansion, but all he could see was a morose ghostly mist and endless darkness. "What's wrong, brother?" Xiaojin noticed Kang Chon's abnormality and turned around to ask. Yong Zhenan also looked over suspiciously. "Nothing. Let's go. Let's go to Fendu City and take a look." Kang Chon shook his head and flew high into the air, heading in the direction of Fendu City. Xiaojin and Yong Zhenan hurriedly followed. In his mind, Kang Chon was talking to Emperor Dan. "Kid, what you sensed just now is right. It's that fire drought demon. He is indeed awakened. It's just that he can't leave the blood coffin right now. He needs to absorb the yin qi from the cave of extreme yin to enhance his cultivation," Emperor Dan said gruffly. "Then how long will it take him, Elder Dan? Do you know?" Kang Chon asked in a deep voice. A harmonization stage existence was not something that their Great Tang Kingdom could deal with. It would require the Heavenly Dao sect to send out an expert to do so. A short period of 10 years, a long period of 100 years, Emperor Dan said after a moment of contemplation. "When we go back this time and report to our master, the Heavenly Dao sect should be very interested in this." Kang Chon pondered for a moment and said no more. Not far from Heavy Iron City, there was a group of Great Tang Kingdom soldiers stationed, and its leader was Yong Zhenan. Not long ago, Kang Chon and Xiaojin flew over from a high altitude and were seen by a soldier, who then reported to Yong Zhenan, which was why Kang Chon saw Yong Zhenan in Heavy Iron City. "I still have a mission ahead of me, so I won't accompany you to Fengdu City. By the way, please give this letter to the Fendu City Lord for me." In the middle of the camp, Yong Zhenan bid farewell to both Kang Chon and Xiaojin. 5 days later, Kang Chon and Xiaojin entered Fendu City, and the first thing they saw was the Fendu mountain range, which was shrouded by a shadowy aura that stretched endlessly. More than 10 years had passed since the corpse-catching sect had sealed the mountain. For 100 years, I wondered if after 90 years, they would re-emerge once again as promised. Kang Chon's heart was looking forward to it. "It's still the same here. No changes," Kang Chon sighed. Afterwards, they found a sergeant guarding the gate and asked him to forward Yong Zhenan's epistle to the Fendu City Lord. Seeing the Deputy City Lord's seal on top of the epistle, that sergeant didn't dare to be slow and immediately went forward to deliver the letter to the City Lord's residence. Kang Chon, on the other hand, and Xiaojin once again came to Haoyu residence, a place where they had once lived. As the largest restaurant in Fengdu City, the Haoyu residence was as lively as ever, with many young talents talking about heaven and earth, and there was no shortage of cultivators chatting here. "I heard that the Overlord has returned, and it was because of his order that the Zhong family, one of the 3 great families in Demon Yuan City, withdrew from Demon Yuan City. Brother, this news of yours is long outdated. The Overlord has already traveled to the imperial capital. The Li family's supreme elder was defeated by him. The entire Li family has lost a lot of face this time. As soon as he entered the restaurant, Kang Qian found that the crowd was still talking the most about his deeds. But very few of these people had seen him before, so they didn't recognize him. "Brother, hey," Xiaojin snickered from the side. Kang Qian couldn't help but touch his nose. Nowadays, he was no longer that little white man from the cultivation world who had only just arrived in Fendu City. Looking back, he couldn't help but sigh at how many people had become obsessed with the passing of the years. He also remembered that it was here that he met Flower Thinking Wrong, the goddess who was so clear and unassuming, holy and flawless. There was also that little devil who went around digging people's ancestral graves. Thinking of the little devil Zhaolinga, Kang Qian had a chill. He hadn't seen this girl for so many years. He didn't know where to go to dig people's ancestral graves again. With his understanding of Zhaolinga, this girl was definitely not interested in the positive demon battlefield. The little girl only had some archaeological deeds in her head. "Young man, you've come." Suddenly, a familiar voice entered Kang Qian's ears, interrupting his memories. Kang Qian's divine thoughts went out of his body, and in a small courtyard of the Haoyu residence, a blue-clothed old man was looking at him with a smile and a look of relief. Haoyu residence, the figure of this blue-clothed old man somewhat familiar to him. It dawned on Kang Qian, wasn't the boss behind the Haoyu residence the Haoyu Jushi? He didn't expect that he had stayed here for so many years. He might be able to get some useful information from him. After all, he was a Yuanying stage powerhouse. Haoyu Jushi should know much more than Yong Zhenan, and might be able to probe some of the drought demon's situation. If he waited until the three corpses were united, it would be too late. In the quiet little courtyard, Kang Qian met the blue-clothed Haoyu Jushi, and the two sides wordlessly sized each other up. Time flies. Haoyu Jushi looked at the purple-clothed youth in front of him, his heart filled with emotion. He could still remember that it was here that he watched Kang Qian sneak into the Fendu mountain range. At that time, the youthful teenager who didn't know anything at that time had now become an inner disciple of the Heavenly Dao sect and had surpassed him in strength, even defeating the outbreathing stage Li clan's supreme elder. Kang Qian's various deeds made the Haoyu Jushi sigh that time flies like a shuttle. The years are unforgiving, and the young generation of that year had already completely surpassed their older generation. "Kid, meet the seniors." Kang Qian also sized up Haoyu Jushi. Back then he couldn't see through this person's cultivation, but now he could clearly tell that it was the 8th level of the Yuanying stage. In the Great Tang country, this kind of cultivation was considered a supreme expert, but in the vast cultivation world, the Yuanying stage was only the starting point. However, Kang Qian understood, like Haoyu Jushi, these scattered cultivators, their qualifications were not good, and they did not have good cultivation techniques, and even more so, they did not have enough cultivation resources. To be able to cultivate to the 8th level of the Yuanying stage was already good enough. Perhaps the out-of-body stage was his limit. Because of this, every time the Heavenly Dao sect accepts disciples, there will be countless young talents who want to worship the Heavenly Dao sect, because they all know clearly that only by worshipping the Heavenly Dao sect, they can continue to cultivate, or even touch that highest point of cultivation, immortal. Senior, the old man is now in front of you, but he doesn't dare to call himself a senior. If you don't mind, just call the old man Haoyu Jushi. Haoyu Jushi was dumbfounded at his words. His current cultivation was only one small realm higher than Kang Qian, and in terms of strength, Kang Qian was even a few streets away from him. How would he dare to call himself a senior? In the realm of cultivation, those who reach the top will not be based on cultivation time to discuss seniority, because the cultivator years along casually pull out an old monster are hundreds or even thousands of years of age. Each other is very difficult to see. The only thing that was obvious at a glance was cultivation. Then Kang Chon will respectfully accept the order. How you Jushi? Kang Chon nodded slightly, not caring. Kang Chon, I've heard the rumors about you in the imperial capital. I wonder why you've come here all of a sudden. If there is anything that I need help with, please also tell me. Resident Hao Yu then said. In his opinion, Kang Chon had just resolved the matter of the Li family. It was impossible for him to leave the imperial capital so quickly. There was bound to be something important going on, perhaps the same as he had guessed. I was ordered by the State Lord to explore the situation of Heavy Iron City, and I have just parted ways with the Vice City Lord from Heavy Iron City. Jushi should have also heard of the strange changes in Heavy Iron City, and I wonder what insights I have. Kang Chon was not polite and asked directly.